Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing well. In this video I'll be ranking all the best heavy armor sets in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So I've compiled all the different sets of armor here, so I'll be showcasing what they look like, the benefits that you get from each of them, and just general thoughts on each set of armor, and ranking them from S being the best to D being the worst. Now the first one we'll be starting off with is the Splint Armour +1. So this is one of the very first armor sets that you will get. It has an 18 armor class. It actually looks pretty cool. I think it looks best on Lae'zel. It dies well too. I think it's nice looking heavy armor. It gets the point across, but this is obviously one of the weaker sets. Doesn't have any major benefits here with 18 armor class, one less piercing damage, and disadvantage on stealth checks. So this one is obviously just going to go in the lowest tier here because the sky's the limit when it comes to heavy armor. Because next we got something a lot better with the Adamantine Splint Armour. So this reduces all incoming damage by 2. It when you hit with a melee attack, the target is sent reeling for 3 turns, which gives them a -3 to their attack rolls, which is actually really effective. You have disadvantage on stealth checks, and you cannot be critically hit. Where this is super useful is, let's say you get your armor class extremely high. The only way that some people can hit you is with a critical hit. So this removes that entirely from the equation. And this is armor that you can get early on in the game in Act 1. So you go to the Grimforge, you can get this here. And it's honestly one of the best sets. It'll last you all the way through the rest of Act 1, Act 2, and into Act 3. You could actually beat the game with this if you like it. Now, I think the armor looks all right. The blue is cool, but doesn't always die the best compared to some of the other armor sets here. So style points, it's all right. If you like it, you like it. But the biggest benefit, obviously, is the benefits that you cannot be critically hit. You send targets reeling, and it reduces all your incoming damage. So that in itself is really good. It's the best Act 1 armor in the game. If you don't use exploits to get the Helldusk Armour. So with that, I would have to say that this one is a belonging of the S tier for sure. I personally prefer the medium armor over the heavy armor, but if you want like Lae'zel as a fighter to wear heavy armor, this is the best available in Act 1. Next, we got the Reaper's Embrace, and I'm torn on how I feel about this after using it many different playthroughs. It's armor that you get. You may want to swap it out because you have Adamantine armor with 18 armor class, and this is 19 armor class, but that's not all the whole story here. It does reduce the incoming damage by 2, similar to the other set there, but you get the Reaper's Rigidity. When activated, you cannot be moved against your will by any spell or action. That's cool. However, disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. This is brutal, to be honest. Dexterity saving throws are like Lightning Bolt, Fireball, many other spells, and Sacred Flame, very common cantrip you get hit with. Disadvantage means you're getting hit by every single one of those pretty much. Also has disadvantage on stealth checks, and it gives you the Howl of the Dead, so this lets out a bone-chilling howl, which numbs all nearby creatures. Numbing means that they have half their movement speed, and spells against will have advantage. This is not a bad, honestly, ability, but if the target gets hit, then it removes the numbing condition. So, yeah, it's all right, but nothing that I would recommend actually using over some of the other sets. Yes, it has a 1 higher armor class than our Adamantine armor here, but in all honesty, I think that this is a lot better. Sending the target reeling for 3 turns and cannot be critically hit is very, very effective, especially if you're going into honor mode. This armor does look pretty cool too. It has the Netherstone removed there. I do get kind of tired of seeing it after playing through the game so many times because, yeah, it's all right armor set overall. But I do think that some of the benefits from this are outweighed a lot by some of the other sets, especially ones that you get earlier on in the game. So I'd have to say that the Reaper's Embrace, I'm probably saying around the B tier. It does have that nice ability, but the Reaper's Rigidity here is kind of rough because disadvantage on dexterity saving throws is not the greatest. But yeah, it's still decent. And next up, we have the Blackguard's Plate. So this reduces all incoming damage by 1. Big thing here is advantage on wisdom saving throw checks. That is really good. Wisdom saving throws are things like commands and hold person, which if you've been hit by them, you'll know how devastating they truly are. So yeah, it has the 19 armor class. I actually think that advantage on wisdom saving throws is such a big benefit of this. And to be honest, placing it against the Reaper's Embrace, I do think this is the better armor set. However, it's when you get this in the game. So that's what it looks like there. It does look similar to some of the other armor, but it kind of is more bright looking. Now, my biggest, I guess, gripe with this is the fact that it takes you to get to the Murder Tribunal, and it's worn by one of the guards there. So, yeah, it's a great armor set for the advantage on wisdom saves, but at the same time, you're going to be at the very end of the game pretty much by the time you get this, and you'll likely have had better armor sets. But still, advantage on wisdom saving throw checks is such a useful ability to have. I think it outplays the benefits you get from the Reaper's Embrace. If it was earlier in the game, this would obviously be great. If you could get this in Act 2, that'd be amazing. But I do think that we'll be putting the Blackguard's place probably maybe like high B tier. It's a little bit better to the Reaper's Embrace, but the biggest problem, again, you get it so late in the game that it doesn't really matter as much. But next we got the Emblazoned plate of the Marshal. This is Duke Ulder Ravengard's outfit, so yeah, if he's at camp, you can find a way to get it from him. So yeah, he's not too happy with our idea there, but this armor set is actually pretty good. Now again, it's another set that we get late on in the game, so with that, it's limited effectiveness. But it gives you 19 armor class, reduces all incoming damage by 2, gives you resistance to fire damage, so fire damage, one of the more common damage types in this game, and a +2 to bonus to saving throws. It also gives you the fire shield ability, so this will give you the ability to wreath your body in flames and give resistances. Now I actually think that the fire shield is possibly the best ability out of this, because you get the resistance to fire damage, but you can also go with the fire shield warm, which will also give you resistance to cold damage. And you deal 2 to 16 fire damage to any attacker that hits you with a melee attack. Same with this, you can give yourself half cold damage, whatever, or half fire damage, that's whatever, but the cold damage on attack. So where this becomes really effective is if you got a fighter who doesn't really have any other abilities or spell casting, you can give them this. It lasts for 10 turns. It's pretty effective. If you know you're getting into a fight, boom, pop your fire shield. It's good survivability. So yeah, this one is kind of held back because you get it so late in the game, but it looks pretty cool too. 19 armor class, reduce all incoming damage, bonus to saving throws, half fire damage, and then also the fire shield spell. I'd have to say that this one is a very useful item if you get it in the game. I'm not going to put it up in the S tier. I'm going to put it probably somewhere around A tier. However, it would likely be S tier if you got it in Act 2, but since we get it later in Act 3, that it does kind of limit its effective use. But next we got actually one of the best sets of armor in the game, my personal favorite, not only due to its benefits, but how it looks. This, I'm just going to put a little side note here, is one of the best for getting dyes. It just looks incredible with a variety of dyes. Also, a little shout out to Faerun Colors mod. It looks great with a lot of them here. And if you want to make the armor pitch black, the AO dye here, this will give you that appearance, and it looks nice. So yeah, side note on that. The benefits that this armor set brings: reduces all incoming damage by 2, cool. But the legendary persistence, you gain resistance and blade ward. Now, this makes it one of the best armor sets in the game because whenever you have resistance, that's a 1d4 bonus to your saving throws. So that's potentially better than the Duke Ravengard's armor there, because that was a flat out +2. This can give you a potential +4. And blade ward, resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Now, if you have a team, this is, I guess, one thing you should note. The reviving hands, you can use this to give your entire team the blade ward effect. So if you're using this armor, it kind of nullifies that. But you have constant uptime with this. It also gives you a 20 armor class, so this is one of the second highest armor class out of every heavy armor in the game. I think that this has got to be one of the best. You do have to be a good aligned playthrough to be able to get this. It's from Damon, so yeah, it's from the Forge of the Nine in Act 3. I think that this is one of the best armor sets in the game, and with this, I would actually say that I'm going to put it above the Adamantine Splintmail, because in Act 3, this is extremely valuable. 20 armor class, reduces incoming damage, resistance, and blade ward. There's a lot to love about this armor set, and again, it looks cool too. But next we got ourselves another armor set that's pretty fancy with the Splint +2. There's another version of this. I like the look of this armor set, but the benefits are just fair. -1 piercing damage, +1 bonus to strength saving throws and checks, disadvantage on stealth checks, 19 armor class. That in itself is just okay. This armor does appear quite frequently. Any level, once you hit level 9, it's going to appear at any type of trader, so you'll probably see this plenty. I think it looks cool personally, but at the same time, you likely have a lot better. Even the Reaper's Embrace is a better armor set, so not too much going on with this one. I'm going to put in the C tier. It is better than some of the others here, so yeah, it's okay. Just fair at best. And next we got the Flawed Helldusk Armour. When you're hit by a foe, it may take 1 to 4 fire damage. On top of that, you take 1 less piercing damage, 18 armor class, so a little bit less than the Splint Armor +2. Now, with that fire damage, it says it might take 1 to 4 fire damage. It's actually if the target succeeds on a DC of 13 dexterity saving throw. And it says foe within 2 meters. That's also not true. It's only on melee attackers. So it also has weird issues if you view it in the combat log. So it'll say the DC of your character when it's actually attributed to the attacker. So It's okay. I mean, you get this in Act 2. You can get it, you get it from Damon in Act 2 when you go to Last Light In. If you give him the Infernal Iron, you can make this the Flawed Helldusk Armor and the Flawed Helldusk Gloves, which I think the gloves are a lot better than the armor, because you likely already at this point would have had the Adamantine Splint Armor, which is a better armor set. So, I mean, if you have multiple heavy armor characters, this can be an alright one, but it's nothing to write home about. So, yeah, it's relatively early game. For that, I'd have to put it probably somewhere around the B tier. It's an alright armor set, but you'll likely have a lot better by the time that you got other things available, and obviously the real Helldusk Armor is a lot better too. But next we got something a little bit more interesting with the Rippling Force Mail. This also looks really nice. I'm a big fan of heavy armor that looks cool. I mean, some people don't care about the aesthetic purposes of armor, but I think it's important. You see your character a lot in cutscenes, and if you have a really nice looking set of armor, it just helps set the tone for the game. So this gives you Force Conduit when taking slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning damage. 17 armor class, so a little bit lower, but the big benefit here, Force Conduit. Whenever you end up getting stacks of this, it reduces incoming damage by 1 for each stack that you get, so you can get like up to, once you get 5 stacks, it then does a 1d4 force damage in a 6-meter radius, so that's actually quite large. So if you get hit while you're wearing this armor, things can go pretty interesting pretty quickly. So just to give an example of this, so boom, well, we critically hit her and took her out. That didn't work as intended, but we got Force Conduit there. So with that, you get the, whenever the target has 5 or more turns, you get that 1d4 bonus force damage in an area. So yeah, that is pretty good. Now, where this gets actually interesting is there's items in the game that'll hurt your character. This will apply the Force Conduit to your character as well. So you can kind of artificially boost up your overall defense from the armor to reduce the amount of damage that you'll be taking from enemies' attacks. The Force Conduit attack with the 1d4 force damage, that's not massive, but it's something. So, I mean, you get this in the early section of Act 1, making it actually a pretty okay armor set. It does have a lower armor class of only 17, but that Force Conduit will help you reduce the amount of damage that you'll be taking. Some people love this armor. Some people don't even use it. I think it looks cool, and it's pretty effective with that Force Conduit, albeit not being the most powerful ability in the game. It's still worth, I would say, using at some point. So I would say, I mean, high B tier, I might just put it into the A tier. We may readjust this later on, but I think for getting it in Act 2 early on in the game, it's a nice armor set. And maybe I'm just giving it extra points because it looks really cool too. But I think Force Conduit can be beneficial, especially if you spec your character around utilizing that. Now we have a nice armor set here with that Rippling Force Mail. Now, I don't like this one, the Cerebral Citadel armor. Not that armor appearance matters too much, but it's too mind flayery for me. But you can't be frightened. That's cool. Not everyone can also, like, if you play as a paladin, you're likely not going to get frightened much. Elithid Protection. If you're infested by a mind flayer tadpole, you get a bonus +1 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. That's pretty good as well. Disadvantage on stealth checks, 18 armor class, and this goofy looking appearance. I mean, some people may like it. The bonus +1 to saves is good, but there's better armor sets out there. I just feel that this one is, despite looking like a mind flayer, it should have given a much more beneficial effect. This one doesn't really do much for anything, so yeah, I actually don't think this is that great. You have to go to Act 3 to get it as well. You get it from the hideout, the Emperor's hideout, so it's okay. It's okay at best. I might actually put it into the bottom of B to C tier. I'm going to put it in the C, keep this a little bit more balanced. However, we got a much better set here next with the Dwarvern Splintmail. I also think this armor is some of the best looking armor in the game. It has a lot of actually really nice benefits, and I feel like this is one of the more underrated armor sets. So it has 19 armor class, that's nice. +1 to strength saving throws and checks, also nice. Disadvantage on stealth checks, whatever. +2 to constitution, up to 20. That's really good. On a fighter, that just means they got more health. On anyone, really. Tempest Cleric, more survivability, that's never a bad thing. This is also available from Moonrise Towers. I love this armor set. I'm actually a massive fan of it. You buy it from Lantarv in Moonrise. That +2 to constitution is massive. The bonus to strength saves is good too, and the reducing damage, but 19 armor class as well. It's better than the armor you get at the end of the act, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this Dwarvern Splintmail. I think it looks great too. So yeah, not that I guess style matters, but you got these little 7 dwarves on here, so it's cool. Yeah, I think that the Dwarvern Splintmail is actually one of the best because it's available early in the game and it's also really effective. I might put it just below the Warden's armor. Due to its availability, it could actually be higher than that, but it's the flame shield's actually a really nice benefit. The +2 to constitution isn't as good, however, it's still very useful. And next we got ourselves a very useful set of armor with the, no, it's not really that useful actually. It has 20 armor classes, the plate armor +2. You can find this at traders if your level is above level 20 or level 11. So this is one that you'll be finding at the late game. -2 to all incoming damage sources from slashing, piercing, bludgeoning. 20 armor class, which is nice. Also, it looks pretty cool. I think this is actually a really nice looking armor set in general with the little dangling things there. They got physics to them. It's a nice looking armor set, but 20 armor class is all right, but you likely, by the time you're level 11, have much better armor. See, again, it looks cool, but it's not the best. It's honestly just, it's armor +2. Now, where I think it's a little bit misleading or confusing, as you can see, it has a purple glow to it. I think if this was meant to be used for a different armor set and its development, they might have changed something about this, because it doesn't look the way that this looks. You can see there's the shoulder pads that are not on this armor set. So I feel like they might have changed something during development, but it looks cool in its actual appearance. But in reality, it's just a -2 to damage and 20 armor class. So that's all right. But again, we're going to be taking into consideration, you get this late in the game when you're level 11. You already got some of the better armors in the game, and even the Adamantine or Armour of Persistence you would likely have by level 11, making this one not as good despite its purple coloration and misleadingness. Next we got the Ring Mail Armor +2. Now this one kind of sucks, I'll be honest with you. You get it earlier in the game. It'll actually stop appearing once you pass level 8, so it's only from levels 5 to 8. 1 minus slashing damage, +1 to strength saving throws and checks. 16 armor class. At this point, when you're level 5, you likely already have access to getting Adamantine with 18, so 16 is kind of crappy when this also reduces all incoming damage by 2. I also don't think this armor looks fantastic. Again, not that armor appearances are super important, but I mean, with certain dyes, it can look a little bit better, but this does not look like heavy armor. This looks like a medium armor, in my opinion. So, yeah. It's just not that great. Low armor class, not as many benefits as the other armor sets in the game, so I'm actually going to throw this into the D tier. It's just not that good. Now we got one that is quite good with the real Helldusk Armour, not Flawed. It's the real deal here this time around. We got the Helldusk Armour 21 armor class. Was 9 + 10? 21. That's the armor class you get with this one. Helldusk Armour, you're considered proficient with this armor while you're wearing it. So if you got a little wimpy Gale who's got no armor proficiencies, boom, now he's actually got some pretty high armor class. So that is the biggest benefit of it. You also, when you succeed a saving throw, the caster receives burning for 3 turns. You have resistance to fire damage, cannot be burned. You take 3 less incoming damage from all attacks. So best armor class, most damage reduction. You're proficient with this armor. You get fly from it as well. Yeah, bonus action fly for 10 turns. Pretty crazy, but whenever you succeed a saving throw, you can burn a target, and that resistance to fire damage cannot be burned is also really nice, because then you can use heat gear and not have to worry about hurting yourself. Yeah, this is a really good armor set. I think it's honestly one of the more ugly armor sets in the game. You have this fella here staring at you while you're wearing this armor. If you're into that kind of stuff, that's cool. But this is mainly an armor set you pick because of its offensive benefits. It doesn't play nice with dyes either. Like, if you really wanted to stylize this, you're best off probably just leaving it as is. I mean, this one looks cool with our little scary face there, changing colors, but yeah, it doesn't play well. That's a blue dye and it turned purple, so yeah. This one is honestly one of the best armor sets in the game. I think the Armour of Persistence, despite having 1 less armor class, to kind of compare these two and show you what they end up looking like in actual comparison. 1 less armor class, 1 less damage that you get reduction from on the Helldusk Armour, but the resistance in Blade Ward is huge for anyone that's got heavy armor proficiency. So this one's probably, the Armour of Persistence is likely best to be put on like your actual fighter, whereas the Helldusk Armour is best to be put on your wizard to actually give them something that'll keep them alive. Although I do prefer the Robe of the Weave on a spellcaster, so yeah, it's an option. Obviously it's supposed to be the best armor in the game. It's the only legendary armor. Yeah, it's cool to give yourself the proficiency while wearing it, so that obviously makes it quite good. So next we got an armor set that's not as good, but still an interesting one with the Armour of Devotion. So this again has some of the similar effects and appearances to the other armor sets here, but you can dye it. You may notice some modded outfits actually use some of the pieces from these armor sets too. But the Armour of Devotion, disadvantage on stealth checks, and you get the Eternal Devotion. So this gives you another channel divinity. So yeah, if you're a paladin, this is a decent armor set to go with, but its really only benefit is that 18 armor class is good and all, but this is paladin armor. I think it looks nice as well, so that's, I guess, another bonus that you got some drippy looking armor. But yeah, you can purchase this in Act 2 from Heroa Moonglow on Moonrise Towers, so that's good. You can get it decently early on. It's good for a paladin, so yeah, I'm not going to say it's an amazing armor set, but the channel divinity, or getting your channel oath back, is pretty good, so I'll put it into the B tier. Now we got some different armor sets here. So this next one that we have is the Chain Mail +2. This is 2 less slashing damage, 18 armor class. Yeah, again, this one looks cool. I like the little side pieces it's got going there. And this armor set will appear in shops if you're higher than level 7. You again likely will have better armor sets by the time that you get available to get this, like the Adamantine Splint and others. So with that, it's okay. Yeah, I might just actually put this into the C tier. Yeah, someone's around C tier. We're getting into obviously the less good ones here. Ringmail armor, 15 armor class, +1 to strength saving throws. Lowest armor class for heavy armor. You're better off almost just wearing robes and putting mage armor on, or going with a medium armor and having a high dexterity score, because yeah, this isn't protecting you from anything. So I'd have to say this one it's D tier. It's not good. Same thing here, plate armor +1, 19 armor class. However, this one is a little bit better. And then the most basic of them all, this is just an armor class 16, but without some of the benefits that we get from the other one. So this obviously goes into the D tier as well. And the last armor set here is the protective plate. I'm unfortunately unable to source that, but resistance to necrotic damage, and doesn't give disadvantage on, or does not give disadvantage on stealth checks. I mean, it's good because there's a lot of necrotic damage in the game. So with that, the protective plate, not the worst in the world. I might say someone's around the C tier there-ish, because that necrotic damage resistance is pretty nice to have. But honestly, the best armor sets in the game are of the following here. So the Adamantine armor, I think, can do you the entire game. 18 armor class is great, but the reeling on attackers can't be critically hit. This carries. I also think, obviously, Helldusk Armour is really good because, again, you can throw this on anyone that doesn't have the armor proficiencies. And finally, my favorite, the Armour of Persistence. I think that's possibly the best armor set in the game. That resistance in Blade Ward is very useful, giving you huge defense in both spellcasting, against spellcasters, and against anyone that's trying to hit you with a melee attack. So, yeah, I do think the Armour of Persistence is likely the best armor set in the game. It also is one of the coldest looking armor sets in the game. So, style points. But that is my tier list of the best armor sets in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video.